The third lecture on section 4.1 is transformations. In other words, transformation is just a movement around the coordinate system. So we've done this before. For example, if I give you y equals x squared, you know that that's a parabola sitting at the origin. But as soon as I change this and put something with x, this -1 doesn't shift it to the left one, it shifts it to the right one. And then to move it up, I would have y equals x squared, and I might add something on the end. Remember, it's with y, not with x, so it affects the y. It'll shift it up 3. And remember, it's not in parentheses, so you don't need to worry about going downward. So let's go back and take a look at these transformations and see how they actually operate the same way. So my first graph on here, 2 to the x, if I just graph 2 to the x, we need to recall y equals 1 times 2 to the x, start value, and it's got a pretty fast rate. Now what I want to do is take this graph, exactly the one that I have here, and I want to shift it up or down. So I want to take this red graph and I want to move the red up or down. Well, an up or down move has to not be with x, but be with y. So if I want to take this graph and shift it up 3, so let's shift it up 3, 1, 2, 3. When I shift that up 3, my equation of this red becomes y equals 1 times 2 to the x plus 3. Notice it's on the outside, it's not with x. If I want to take this same graph and I want to shift it, so the blue is my original function, I want to shift the new one to the right or left. So in other words, I want to grab this red one and I want to shift it. Oh, I want the red one. So I want to take this red one and I want to shift this red one from here left or right. What has to change for me to shift that to the right 2? I want to shift it to the right 2 units. Well, what I need to do to shift it to the right 2 units, I take my original function. Notice I just left off the 1, and I want to shift it to the right 2 units. Notice who it goes with. If it's shifting in the left or right, it goes with x, just like I did with parabolas, rationals, or anything else. Now I want to flip this graph up and down. So if I flip up and down, I know that's a flip. Let's see, up and down is a y flip. Yes, it does go over my x-axis, but it is an up-down flip, and what letter goes up and down? Y does. And so what I need to do then is not put the negative on the y coordinate. I need to put that negative on the x coordinate or the y. Let's see, if I'm flipping y, I better put that on the y coordinate, not the x. So if I try to sketch this and I put in 0, so I go y equals -2 to the 0, well, 2 has the power of 0, so it's going to flip down to -1. So it's going to be down in this area, and the graph is going to flip over. So you got to be careful. Here's a left to right, so that's an x flip. And again, you're right, it goes over the y-axis, but it's a flip this direction. So this, if I go back to my original graph, I graph my original, and now what I want this thing to do is come this direction. So what happens there is I get y equals 2 to the -x. Well, that looks like a decay graph. Well, if you think about decay, we said that the b value had to be less than 1. Looking at my b value, it's a 2, but as soon as I put a negative power on that, the b value becomes less than 1.